Hi guys, it's V, and I am a licensed esthetician. I work here in Manteca, California, and my business name is Aesthetics by V. How I became a waxer. So, since I was a little girl, my grandmother would always tell me, Val, you're gonna be your own business owner. You're gonna work for yourself. You're never gonna work for anybody. Mind you, when I was little, I used to always think that I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom, and I always thought that I just wanted to have kids and stay home, raise them, be pretty, that was it. That's my whole purpose in life. So I thought. She's a cosmetologist, so I grew up in the beauty field. She would always take clients in from the house or work at a beauty salon. Well, when I was about 11, 12 years old, my mom was actually the one that asked me to wax her for the first time. Mind you, I am 11, 12 years old. Nobody wants to wax their mom's back or their face at 12 years old. Absolutely not. I was grossed out, and I was like, there's no way there's no way that she's making me do this. Yes. So she made me start waxing her. My grandmother had a setup in the back of her room, and that's where that's where the magic was. In her closet, she always had a bunch of all the hair colors you can think of. She had bleach, she had clippers, she had waxing supplies. This lady did it all, basically. Till this day, shout out to her. She's the one that put me on game. She was my motivation. She was the one that always believed in me. I remember she walked in on us one time when I was waxing my mom's face. I used to laugh. Like, that was my bonding time with my mom. It was me waxing her. I was waxing her face, and my grandmother walked in, and she was like, what are you guys doing? Because we had never told her that my mom put me to wax her. She caught us that day, and she looks at me. She's like, oh my gosh, like, you can't just, wax her. You can hurt her. And my mom was just laughing at the whole thing. She thought it was so funny. So she was like, you know what? I'll teach you. My grandmother was the one that taught me how to wax at 12 years old. Obviously, I didn't think anything of it. I would just like, at the time, waxing wasn't really that big. I always thought that waxing was, you pay $5 to get your eyebrows or your lip, and that's it. Back to the story. So my grandmother taught me how to wax, and ever since that, my mom would, can you wax my legs? Can you wax my back? Can you wax my face? I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm putting her heck on blast, but hey, that's what got me here because of my mom and my grandmother. I became a good waxer, and I was 13, 14 years old. So since my grandmother worked at the beauty salon, I would always ask her, like on Saturdays, instead of staying home and cleaning with my mom, no thank you, I would ask to go to my grandmother's beauty salon, and she would always take me. I would help, by cleaning, whatever. She taught me basically everything. Like, this lady, I owe everything to. I stopped at around 14 years old because I was a high school, I was boy crazy, and I ended up getting pregnant at 16. So as soon as I got pregnant, I ended up moving out of my mom's house, and I finished high school pregnant. I was 7.5 months pregnant. I graduated early. I was already a stay-at-home mom, and we just kept having babies, thinking that that's what. Don't get me wrong, my babies are my blessings. I love every single one of them. I have 4 babies. I am a single mom of 4 now, but it's okay. When I was pregnant with my last baby, I don't know why it came to my head, like, I didn't want to be a stay-at-home mom. Like I said, I love my kids, but being a stay-at-home mom was by far the hardest job I've ever done. Like, people think, she doesn't do nothing. No, absolutely not. After I was pregnant with my last child, that's when I knew this is not the life I want. I do not want to be a stay-at-home mom. I need to be a businesswoman. It just came to my head, what about an esthetician? Like, what about waxing? I knew that me going to school was going to cost, and I knew it was probably not going to happen. I remember looking at different schools. Some of them were really expensive. I I couldn't do it. So I found a school that's in Stockton. It's called Cal CBC, and they told me, oh, you can apply for financial aid. Perfect. I applied for financial aid. They got a tour in for me, and I went in, I did the tour, and I kid you not, just walking into the school, I was like, oh my God, oh my goodness. The beauty field has always been in me. Like, I've always been into makeup, into the dyeing my hair. Once I walked into the school, I knew I just belonged there. I knew that this was for me. And you know that saying where they say, what's you is meant for you and nobody can take it away? That is so freaking real. It's just crazy. I went in, I applied, I paid a fee. They told me, okay, you got approved for financial aid. You know, there was problems along the way, but long story short, I didn't have to pay for anything. I was gonna pay $1,200, and that was until 6 months after I graduated. So I'm thinking, a free education? Are you kidding me? Free education is amazing. If you ever get that opportunity, take it. Take that opportunity and go for it. So I did. I would go pregnant to school, you know. What did help me though was, I believe the first 2 or 3 months was online. It was a lot of book, a lot of theory, so that actually did help me a lot. The only thing that, obviously, going to school and then having 3 babies at home and being pregnant, it's not sometimes the best or the most convenient, but it did help me, you know. I loved just being in the waxing room. In the wax room, that's where you would find me all the time. But back to how when we were enrolling, my grandmother was watching my 3 babies that same day so I can go and do the tour. And I was officially ready to sign my enrollment papers. I signed everything off, and the amount of joy that I got, like, I was already pregnant, I was hormonal, and then this was gonna be the first big thing that I did for myself besides graduating high school. This was in 2020, the pandemic was happening, so obviously, you know, everyone was all over the place, but I will forever be so thankful that I did it then, because I started in October of 2020. I delivered my baby in December of 2020, okay? And this is where the blessing happens. I delivered her during... I had literally gone into labor, and then the next day was my 2-week vacation from school for Christmas. So I literally just took those 2 weeks off, and in January I went back in 2 weeks postpartum, straight back into school. How did I do it? I have no freaking idea. I just knew what I wanted, and I knew I had to bust my ass off, and I did it. I did it with 3 toddlers and a newborn baby at home. I got into the car, and I just remember like reading my papers and just crying my eyes out. I cried and cried and cried, and I was like, God, thank you so much. Like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna have a purpose. And I just cried and cried, and I just got to my mom's house, and my grandma opens the door, and she sees me a mess. So she's thinking like, oh shit, like she probably couldn't get in. I cried, and I was like, Grandma, I did it. And she just starts crying her eyes off. So we're both crying. And she was like, I told you you can do it. That was like a memory that I will never forget, because my grandmother always pushed me and pushed me and pushed me until I did it, you know? It was the best decision of my life, and I will never regret it. I know that things happen at their own timing, and I think that me having my kids was what motivated me to start hustling. You know, we need to make our own money. We need to have our own career in check for ourselves. You know what I mean? I know that was a bunch of stories. Maybe some kept up with it. Some maybe got lost along the way. I'm sorry, I mumble a lot. I just love to talk. Yeah, that's basically how I started waxing, because of my grandmother, because of my mom. I know some people do want to get to know me a little bit more, like not just V, but everybody knows me as V. But some people might want to get to know Valeria, you know? My full name is Valeria Lisset, and you guys can get to know me by asking me questions, anything you guys would like to know. My life is literally a movie, so I can sit here and ramble all day. Thank you guys for listening. This is basically how I started waxing, who motivated me, and where I'm at. Now I am a business owner with my sister and my cousin. We own a beauty studio here in Manteca. I have TikTok, which is Aesthetics by V. I have my Instagram at Aesthetics by V. And if you guys want to get to know me on a little bit more personal level, you guys can go ahead and follow me at _on Instagram. And I will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.